From the Figure 4 Online Studios in beautiful Bothell, Washington, exclusively at WrestlingObserver.com, you're listening to The Bryan and Vinny Show with your hosts, Brian Alvarez and Big Vinny V.
All right, everybody, it's the Bryan Vinny Show here. It is April 5, 2020, figure4online.com/WrestlingObserver.com. Yes, we will get into WrestleMania. Yes, we will get into this Firefly Funhouse match after we talk to Granny, who's joining us here as well. Granny, how are you doing tonight?
Just okay.
Just okay? Well, let's be upbeat here, Granny. How you doing tonight?
Just okay.
All right. Boy.
She gave it her all.
She gave it her all. There goes the mood of the show.
All I got.
Come on, Granny. Give us some big smiles here.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Well, did you watch WrestleMania?
Well, there's a lot of stuff I want to talk about when I get to my report.
Oh, I can't wait.
Oh, this should be a good one.
We're going to get to your report fairly early tonight, Granny. We're going to do a couple of questions here on the Facebook, and then we got to talk about this WrestleMania.
Okay.
I hope you at least watched The Undertaker's match.
No, I didn't.
What?
It was on Saturday.
The whole thing was, I might have not even got it for the whole thing was so messed up. I thought it said over on the side, WrestleMania 2, but, and
This should be even better than I thought.
I watched the whole thing yesterday, and I didn't see any Undertaker match.
Well, I mean, it was the best thing on the show by leaps and bounds. I don't know how you didn't see it, but we'll get it to you, Granny. Someone will get you the Undertaker match, and then you can review it for the next show.
How could I have missed that?
I have absolutely, positively no idea.
Did it come in toward the?
It was the last match on the show. It was the main event.
I thought I watched the whole thing.
Well, clearly you did not. There's no way you could have seen this and not known that it was the Undertaker's match.
Oh, I feel bad now.
Well, Granny, listen, no one's going to ever forget this match as long as we live, so we'll just watch it next week. We'll get the match to you somehow. I'm sure it's going to be all over the internet here very soon. All right, well, Vinny, let's do the Facebook, then we'll get into the regular wrestling.
All right, Facebook is just questions this week. And we begin with a question I don't think we've ever had before.
Oh, that's impossible.
Ryan Byers wants to know, what is your favorite pickled food other than a cucumber? General thoughts on pickling.
Favorite pickled food other than a cucumber?
Relish.
See, we got an answer.
Relish.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay, I'll take it.
There's a sandwich shop by my place. I don't know if it's sweet peppers or pickled peppers, but the peppers they put on their cheesesteak are really, really good. Johnny Stewart says, hi, Granny, hope you're staying safe. What is the first thing you will do once this pandemic is over?
Not a thing else. It's what I'm doing now.
Granny doesn't think she's ever leaving the house again.
Yeah.
I don't go much anywhere, so I'm just doing the same thing I always do.
You'll be leaving that house soon enough, Granny. At least getting into the backyard.
Well, I was actually thinking of going driving around, and then I thought, well, if my car broke down or something, I'd have to interact with people, and, so there you go.
You talked me out of it.
Well, I mean, Granny, you could also, not have your car break down. Just like right around the neighborhood.
Well, I have been doing that when I go up to the post to get my mail.
Okay. You drive up to get your mail and then drive back down?
Uh-huh.
Wow. Okay.
Well, I drive around the block most of the time just to...
Sure, yeah.
Sure is quiet here.
Yeah, it sure is quiet.
Okay. Christian Wallette wants to know, if you could drink only one thing for the rest of your life, what would it be? ?
Water.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't drink anything else but water.
I'd probably choose water as well, but I am fond of like Powerade Zero. Like Powerade Zero, Diet Sprite.
I hate any of that stuff. All
Really?
nothing
Diet
but
sodas.
sugar.
Either I have changed or diet sodas have come a long way since I was a kid. Because when I was a kid, Diet Coke was essentially battery acid. And now I actually prefer it to regular Coke, which has way too much sugar.
Well, that's because you became diabetic and you cut out all the sugar, and so your body isn't used to that much sugar anymore.
I guess so.
It's like I love dark chocolate. I have these dark chocolate squares.
Amen.
It's
yes.
like 90. It's literally over 90%.
That's very dark.
It's very, very dark.
Yes.
It's all I eat. But then, every now and then, I'll have a bite of, an actual milk chocolate sugar. And it's like, oh, my God, it's enough to kill a person.
I thought we were talking about drinking, not eating.
Well, many drinks, Granny, are full of sugar. So we went off on a tangent.
Yeah, well, I don't do anything but water. Sometimes 7-Up, and that's if my stomach gets upset.
Yes, carbonated beverage.
More questions about The Undertaker and drinks. And then Adam Verona wants to know, Granny, did you have any heroes or people you looked up to as a wee child?
Maybe just the president.
When she was a wee child.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Lincoln.
President
Grant.
Roosevelt. Yeah.
Teddy or Franklin?
Franklin.
Okay.
Keep going.
Yeah, sure. I was going to say something, but...
Dave Powell wants to know, who would you rather be stuck in isolation with, Bryan, Vinny, or The Undertaker?
That's pretty obvious, Bryan.
Obviously.
Really?
Yeah, of course.
I just think The Undertaker seems to be very quiet.
Well, yeah, I mean, she likes Undertaker matches. Doesn't mean she wants to be in solitude with him.
Yeah, that's right. I like him as a wrestler.
She ain't going to give Undertaker guilt trips.
No, I'm sure that's true. Jamal Allen wants to know, does Granny wear dentures?
Not telling.
All right, then I won't ask the follow-up.
Nobody's business.
Fair enough. Mr. Williams, Granny, what is the best option between cake, cookies, donuts, brownies, and ice cream?
Cake.
Cake.
My wife's cookies.
Your wife's cookies are actually extremely good.
Yeah,
You know what I noticed? Don't tell her this, Vinny. But I noticed this about your wife's cookies. They're like the best cookies in the world for about 2 days. But after about 2 days, they just start to crumble apart. You ever notice that?
You know what? She would actually passionately agree with you.
Yeah.
She yes.
I mean, the crumbled pieces of cookie are still good, but it's like
Right.
I've never seen a cookie that was like, it went from 0 to 60 or 60 to 0 so rapidly.
She
they
actually
disintegrate.
very much agrees, and she believes her cookies should be eaten right away.
Yes. Well, I mean, she brings over 50 cookies. I mean, I can't eat
Yes.
them all right away.
You're not trying hard enough. Gregor Swanson wants to know, Granny, what games did you used to play as a kid, and did you do well at school?
Yes, I did well in school. In my 8 years, I skipped two grades. And I caught up with my brother
Hold on a second.
Man.
Hold on a second. Wait. Okay. My understanding, Granny, is that you only went to 8th grade.
Right.
But you skipped 2 grades?
I guess so.
So you
because
only went to 6 grades?
Oh, no. I jumped up a grade twice.
I know. So if you were in 3rd grade and you skipped a grade twice, that would take you from 3rd grade to 6th grade. And then you do 2 more grades, that would make it 8th grade.
No. If I was in the 3rd grade, I went up to the 5th grade.
Didn't I just say that, Vinny? Okay, that's fine, Granny. I understand.
Okay.
I don't, Vinny. You can explain this to me later.
Okay.
Rob Wildman wants to know, have you ever visited a boneyard before?
What the heck's that?
It's a yard of bones.
A yard of phones?
Bones.
Bones?
Like
Why in the heck would I want to do that?
like skin and bones.
Dumb question.
Sorry, Rob, your question is dumb. Skylar Mishra, did you ever have cats when Brian was growing up? If not, where did Brian's fondness for cats come from?
What
All
fondness?
the best, Granny. Hope Scrabble is going well.
I love cats when they're not in my house.
Me too.
Oh, see? Runs in the family.
Well, we had.
I'm thinking of opening a cat shelter so I can put my cats in it.
Oh, Brian.
I'll take care of all the other cats, just not inside my house.
I've been coming to your house now for, well, as long as you've lived in that house. I've been coming there, and your cats, I figured out that I will pet them.
Oh, get out of here, Vinny.
And so they come running.
Oh, dude, they do that for everybody. You should see what these cats do with the poor baby. Like, They're just rubbing all up against this baby and...
Oh, no, affection.
Well, the Hanalei does nothing at this age except put stuff in her mouth.
Sure.
So she's stuffing the cat's tail in her mouth.
Yeah.
She's trying to eat the cat's face.
Yes.
No, this is not good, Vinny. This is not good.
No.
You can't eat your animals. Do you understand me?
She's okay. The cat thinks it's just being loved.
Oh, when it cries out in pain because a baby's eating its tail?
Not that part.
Exactly.
Does she have teeth yet?
No, but she can still bite.
Ryan Fraser says, "How are you doing? Not been listening to very much at moment."
Read that again.
What have you been doing? He hasn't been paying attention.
Oh, what have I been doing? My usual. Play Scrabble. Clean house.
Sure. Putter around, give Brian guilt trips, the usual.
All the best.
Yep. Same old.
Same old. Hayden Fallick asks, "Granny, do you have an inspirational message for your gang right now?"
Oh, inspiration.
Oh.
Be the wee granny on Twitter.
Keep calm and don't listen to the news.
Well, I mean... Actually, you know what? I don't think you should not listen to the news, but I believe that everyone should check the news in the morning and then check the news at night.
Yes.
That's enough.
Do not be on the news 24/7.
You do not need to be checking the news every 5 minutes. That will drive you out of your mind.
I got to the point where I don't hardly listen to any of it. There's a lot of it on the computer, but I skip over it.
Yes.
That's the idea. Okay, we have a question for Brian. These are not questions for Brian. This is questions for Granny. Question about The Undertaker, the match that she didn't see. John Pincus wants to know, have you ever watched an Undertaker match with Paisley?
No.
I wouldn't want Paisley to watch any wrestling.
Although I do believe that last night, because of the timing, she tried to run in here during that match, and she was supposed to be getting ready for bed, and I had to shoo her out.
Yeah, I don't know. She would have known what to make of the Boneyard match.
She knew that it was scary, but she couldn't stop looking at the television.
Sure.
I said, you can be in here, just sit on the couch and look the other way and read this book. And she kept looking at the TV,
yeah.
but then she'd plug her ears, and I'd say, well, don't look at it. And she'd look away, and then she'd look back, and she'd plug her ears in and go, ah! And I'm like, kid, don't look. But she couldn't help but look at it.
Brian,
I had to get her out of the room.
Brian.
Yes.
In the history of humankind, no parent has ever told their child, be in here, but don't look at this thing.
Well, I know that.
And not have the thing be looked at.
I know that, Vinny, but you're missing the other point. If I would have told her to look at it, she would have looked at it. If I would have told her not to look at it, she would have looked at it. There's nothing I could say for her not to look at the TV except, you got to get out of this room, kid.
Yes.
That's what I did.
Okay, good.
But I at least tried.
Oh. Felipe Pacheco wants to know, Granny, what was Brian's first word?
I don't know. I wasn't there. But I remember his first sentence when we were driving down the road, and he looked at a sign on a gas station and read it.
We weren't driving down the road. We were at the Burger King in Totem Lake, the one that closed down, Vinny.
I thought we were going through Woodinville.
No, we were at the Burger King.
They're 3 miles apart.
Believe it or not, I actually remember this. I don't know how. But I looked across the street and I said, what does self-service mean?
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know what age I was, but that was like the first time that I really read something and my family was flabbergasted.
Huh. Yeah, we were.
Tim Page, a top fan, asks, have you thought about getting Peloton bikes with all the gyms being closed for a while?
I don't need a bike. I walk.
I can think of no worse form of exercise than spin classes. Ride a bike, not go anywhere, and have some, I almost said a bad word in front of Granny, have some person yelling at me the whole time. That sounds awful.
I got rid of my bike. My exercise
You know what's amazing
bike.
and actually kind of a little bit scary? Since this shutdown, I haven't been able to go to jiu-jitsu class. I can't teach jiu-jitsu. The gyms are all closed down. And so I just walk. That's all I can do is just walk. And I've been walking. So my heart rate doesn't even get above 125. Mm-hmm. I've just been walking for 45 minutes to an hour a day. I got on the fucking scale today. I was 136 pounds.
Tiny little man.
I have not been 136 pounds since I was probably 19.
Yeah.
I'm down 10 pounds.
Yes.
From before this started, just walking. Yeah. Not even fast. So anyway, I've been eating like a crazy person too. Hopefully I don't have a tapeworm or something crazy.
Buzz Newman wants to know, Granny, what was your best Wendy's experience?
Oh my gosh, I don't have any idea.
When they got her order right. All right, let's do this wrestling report, Granny. I want to hear what you watched.
I watched and they had this thing where they had all the Undertaker's entrances.
That's actually a great idea.
Okay.
Was that on last night or what?
I don't remember seeing that on last night. That might have been like Undertaker's 10 greatest entrances or something on the network.
Yeah. I thought that was part of WrestleMania.
Well, I mean, they were part of 10 WrestleManias, probably.
So I wrote a whole bunch of dumb dates down. April 8th, 218. April 3rd, 205.
These are all WrestleManias.
Oh, shoot. And I'm not
Well,
even
which
sure.
was the best one?
Well, it only showed his entrance, but I didn't pay too much attention to it.
I see. So there was not one entrance that stuck out more than another?
Not really.
Okay.
What do you rate that show?
Was that a show?
What did you think of the 10 greatest entrances? Was that maybe a 5 because there was no wrestling?
5, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Lots of Undertaker, but no wrestling. Okay.
Okay, now, am I right that there was a Alexa and Nikki?
Yes, this was the opener on WrestleMania.
Okay, and Asuka, and who was the one with Asuka?
Kairi Sane.
Okay, well, anyway, see if I can read this. Because I didn't recopy it.
Always the best.
Oh, shoot.
We're off to a fine start.
Just do your best, Granny.
Face punches, face kick out of the ring.
Ow!
Wow.
Nikki jumps out of the ring on Asuka. Near fall. Kick back Nikki. Neck outside ring. That's put on the ropes.
Sure.
Two against one on Nikki, beating her badly. Clothesline on Asuka's partner. Elbow on the neck, both down. Bodies everywhere. Nikki and
You should have seen the Undertaker match.
Nikki and Alexis win. I like that match because I wanted those girls to win that one.
Excellent.
So I gave that an 8.
An 8?
Wow, holy
Yeah.
smokes.
It was awfully good.
And then there was this one was Corbin plus
This was not an
Elias.
8.
I can't believe you missed the Undertaker match when you saw Baron Corbin and the Drifter.
Elias.
Yes, Elias. Granny corrected me for once.
Elias beats up on Corbin, knees on the chest, kick out, top rope drop out of ring. Corbin comes back. I say, come on, Elias, get him. Both down, punch on Corbin, almost got Corbin. Elias wins. I like that so much, give it a 9.
I beg your pardon.
Excuse me, Elias and Corbin got a 9?
Yeah. Because I wanted Corbin to get beat.
Well, if that's what you wanted, then that's definitely a 9.
Hey, it's your rating, Granny.
It is your ratings.
Okay. Then there was Becky Lynch plus Baszler. Start punching back and forth.
They sure did.
Outside ring. Baszler in control. Hits Bailey, or hits Becky on announcer table. Back in the ring. Top rope. Drop kick. Baszler takes over. A drop on the apron on Baszler. Another drop on the apron for Baszler. Arm bar on Becky. Becky against side of announcer table. Becky wins. I gave that a 7 because I wanted Becky to win that one.
Well, she won.
She did. Okay. Then the next day it started out with a ladder match with a whole bunch of people, and Morrison won that one to regain his title.
He retained the title, yes.
Yeah. Okay, then there was Rollins versus Owens. missed punch outside ring. Head punches. Rollins into barricade. Ref counting. Dropped Owens on the apron. One more time. Ref counting again. Rollins confident. Twisting head. But super kick on Rollins and top turnbuckle. Side kicks on Rollins. And he got disqualified because he went and got something illegal.
He bonked him with a chair.
Was it the chair? I thought he had...
Oh, the ring
else.
bell. The ring
The
bell.
bell.
I'm sorry.
The bell.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
it wasn't
That's
the chair.
twice now Granny's corrected me.
I gave that a 6. I think that's all I got.
Well, you gave up too early, Granny.
So Rollins and Owens was, I believe, 3 points worse than Corbin and Elias.
Well, to be fair, Vinny, when they did the original finish with the bell, it was, in fact, 3 full worse than the Corbin-Elias match. But they restarted the match, and Granny didn't see the rest of it.
Okay, all right, that makes sense.
Who's Undertaker wrestling?
AJ Styles.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Well, I didn't watch all of it today. It's because I needed a nap before the show. Because
Sure.
Oh, how I wish I had taken a nap during the show.
I almost took a nap
I
during
would
the
have
show.
so much better off taking a nap.
Yes.
So if I go back on later, then
I think the wrestlers in the ring did take a nap.
Yeah.
You know, it's really not too bad. That turned out to be a pretty good WrestleMania, really.
Night 1 was great.
I liked night 1 better than night 2. I will
Yes.
just say that.
I will too, because night 2 they did so much interviewing and junk, you know.
There was a lot of junk.
Lots of junk, yeah.
Just a lot of junk. So I just put it down below and listened to it while I was doing something else on the computer.
Well, there you go, Granny. We'll try and get you that Undertaker match so you can review it. If you can find the Undertaker match, Granny, if we can get it to you, maybe we'll have you come on for a little bit on Tuesday and just review that match before we do our normal show.
Okay, but when you send me something, I can't get on there because they keep wanting me to sign in, and when I try to sign in, I don't have the right password.
Which I can't figure out how that happens because you obviously are signed in because you watched the first night of WrestleMania.
I am signed in. When I go into the regular one, I can get in it. But when you send me something...
I see. Okay.
When you send me something to go into...
I got it.
Then it does that to
I
me.
got it. Maybe it'll be somewhere that we can get it to you. The private link or something.
Well, I can probably find it.
All right. Undertaker, AJ Styles, Boneyard. That's what you need to know.
Just a minute. Maybe if I just put it on Google, I can get it.
Well, I'll send you I'll tell you what to search for. Sound good?
Just a minute. Undertaker and Styles?
Yes. Boneyard. Can't believe we're doing this on the air.
I bet you I could do that on Google and get it.
Okay, see if you can find
Okay.
it, and if you can watch it, then we'll review it with you on Tuesday. How's that sound?
Okay, just let me know what time.
All right, sounds like a plan. Well, thanks as always, Granny.
Okay.
We'll come see you this week when it's sunny.
Okay, that'll be nice. That was a nice day.
It actually was a horrible day when we came over, but it'll be a nice day later this week.
Especially with little girls with no sweaters on.
Oh, get out of here, Granny.
There's my guilt trip for the week.
I knew it was coming.
You can listen to the joy in her voice.
Yes.
That was the best part of her whole Sunday.
Yes. That's why she does this show. It
I was going to
brings
say,
her
for
the
those who ask
joy
why we have Granny on,
and of humiliating me every single
Yes.
week. 2
Shame.
corrections and a guilt trip. What could be a better day?
Well, it hasn't been a fun week anyway.
I know, Granny. All right, we're going to do the rest of this show, and it'll be up later tonight. There might be a little profanity, but I'll try and keep it to a minimum.
oh, there shall be profanity.
Yeah, we'll do our best.
Why?
Well, there was some
Because-
really dumb shit on the show, Granny, to be quite frank.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll listen to you later.
All right, sounds good.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. All right, we're back here. Time to review WrestleMania Night 1 and Night 2, everybody. Let's get going.
So 6.5 hours of wrestling, some very good, some very bad, a lot just average. We're going to try to cover it fast, so I shall skip over the trivial stuff. We opened with a video with Stephanie McMahon noting Mania will be different due to the current circumstances.
Yeah.
We would emanate from a closed set with no audience, as well as other locations. There's a long entrance video that's like weird Pirate of the Caribbean themed and also self-aware that it's an entrance video, and it aired both nights. I liked it the first night, and then I watched it again tonight. I was like, this is not that funny.
Well, I liked it the first night, and then I didn't bother watching the second night, so I still have my fond memories of the first night.
Fair enough. Gronk opens the show. He notes Mania is too big for just one night. He knows how to start a party on Saturday night and end it 30 hours later. Introduces his good friend, Mojo Rawley. And then they were barely there the rest of this whole program.
Dude, what a... I don't want to say a letdown because I was expecting it to be significantly worse. So actually it was a positive that they were barely there. But man, you got Gronk, who's supposed to be like a big-time major superstar.
He is.
And you've signed him, and he's going to be like a wrestler. And they didn't do shit with this guy.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross versus the Kabuki Warriors for the women's tag team titles. So, I don't know how many people listening to this, a lot of them have watched a lot of Japanese wrestling, but Japanese crowds, at least they used to be very different. In New Japan now, it's not so much this way, but for a long, long time, Japanese crowds would be very, very quiet. And that didn't mean they were bored. It meant they were intently watching the match, and they would pop for the big moves or the near falls or whatever. So, Kairi Sane and Asuka have spent years and years wrestling in front of very quiet crowds. Thus, they are experienced and know how to generate their own noise and frankly their own heat. So, this is important in the year 2020 with the environment we are all in. Everyone in wrestling, everyone at all levels, needs to watch the Kabuki Warriors. Because they make enough noise between the two of them that it doesn't sound like an empty arena match. They're just constantly making noise. And it's not phony dialogue, and it helps that it's in Japanese. Maybe if I spoke Japanese, I would not like this as much as I did. But it's a lot of shrieking and shouting and crying out and grunting and laughing. They're just constantly making noise, which is important because somebody in this room has to. Match itself was good. There is a long heat segment on Alexa, and then a pinfall where Kairi was supposed to break it up with the top rope elbow. She was clearly late. They had to edit it as best they could to make it look like she broke at the pin. And then eventually Nikki's isolated for a long, long time to the point where I was asking where the hell Alexa is. And suddenly Nikki hits a spinning neck breaker, tags Alexa in. Alexa hits a twisted bliss to win the tag belts. As a wrestling match, I thought this was the best thing on night one. And I say that, by the way.
What?
I like this match a lot. And, I watched this actually last because I started late. So this is the first, when I turned it on, this is like right at the finish of this. So I went back and watched it later. I thought this was a very good wrestling match.
I believe that you are the male equivalent, I guess, of Granny giving Elias and Corbin a 9.
All right.
I don't think I have heard one other single person on the planet name this the best match on the show. This was fine. I thought it went way too long. They kept kicking out of moves. The wrestling wasn't that good. And then we had new tag champs, which, I mean, you don't watch SmackDown, but if you watch SmackDown, it's like the only thing I ever see these two do is talk show segments. Kabuki Warriors are the best team on the roster by far. I guess they just wanted happy endings or whatever, so they put the baby faces over. But, man, this is a big step down for the belts. I thought the match was okay, and nothing more.
Charlie interviews Sami Zayn, Cesaro, and Shinsuke Nakamura, which is really just Sami. Says, nobody thought they beat Strowman, but he's the IC champion at Mania. They always have a plan. He's walking in as champ and walking out as champ. King Corbin versus Elias. So, this match... Who
puts these fucking matches together?
Well, it's funny you should ask that, because that's the point I was going to make. This match began with one man hitting his opponent with a guitar. It ended 20 minutes later with a schoolboy and holding the tights.
Yes. And the bigger issue is that the guy who got... The babyface comes out with a guitar. He beats the hell out of the heel. He pretty much leaves him for dead. The referee rings the bell. And the heel, who had been attacked from behind and beaten senseless with an object, he just fucking starts beating up the babyface. He beats him up. Beats him up. I'm like, you could not be a worse hero. And, I mean, to his credit, at least Elias won at the end. But, I mean, he won by holding the tights. Mm-hmm. They're teasing this match must continue. It fucking went 8 minutes. It felt like, easily 30 minutes.
There's no way that only went 8 minutes.
It was 8 minutes. And it sucked.
One thing that does not work in empty arenas is doing a bunch of near falls and then lying around. And I know there's a bunch of those later in other matches with the bigger stars where maybe they're used to doing a double down spot so the crowd can chant, "This is awesome," because WWE crowds chant, "This is awesome," all the time. But it's stupid with a crowd, and without a crowd, it's just death. So,
Well, dude, if you're going to have two guys fall off a ladder and fall from a great height and crash and burn on the ground, fine, they could both lay around and sell for a second.
yes.
When you have two guys that lay around after a series of cradles,
Sure, yeah.
what?
They just look fat and out of shape.
Get better cardio.
Yes, yes.
Do some walking.
It's called Walk with Elias, right?
Yes.
Yes. Shayna Baszler versus Becky Lynch. So again,
I thought this was way better than the opener.
this was also very, very good. In part because this felt like a real fight. And they got in there and they just wailed on each other. This was violence. They had a fight. Shayna kept using the Stormbreakers, basically did one into an armbar, turned it into her own disarmor. The story is, basically, it was pretty even for the first half of the match. The second half was all Shayna. She could never hit the Stormbreaker, but she did get the Karafuda clutch, and Becky was fighting for her life. And Becky did they did the Bret Hart Steve Austin finish, where Becky rolled up backwards, cradled Shayna while still in the Karafuda clutch, and got the pinfall. So it kind of felt like a UFC fight where somebody's winning all the scorecards and they gets knocked out at the end, which I guess at least Shayna's a heel and that happened to her. But it was a very fun match. It was very stiff. They beat the hell out of each other, and they booked it again to build to a rematch because WrestleMania doesn't end things anymore.
I thought this match was very good in the ring. When you have an empty arena and you hit each other really hard, it's better.
Yes.
Don't hit each other. I mean, you could hit each other really hard if you want to, but I mean,
Hit hard in safe places.
If there's 80,000 people there, like only the people in the first three rows are going to hear you hitting each other really hard. So it's kind of a waste of time.
Sure.
And you're hitting each other really hard. If there's nobody in the building and there's no ambiance and it's just dead silence, then if you waffle each other, hit each other hard in safe places, then in fact it makes for a better match. And that's what they did. Thought the grappling was very good. I would have had Shayna win. I have no idea why you beat her, except this is typical WWE booking. Dude, if you go on my Twitter timeline, I called every elimination in that women's elimination match.
You did, yes.
Because it's so easy. They do the same thing in all of their matches. You could just watch and see it. This was the same thing they do in every program. You put the babyface over clean. Then you try to make people care about a rematch. If you're a Kool-Aid drinker, if WWE can do no wrong, then you're like, hey, cool, I can't wait to see Shayna face Becky again. If you're not, if you're a normal person, I shouldn't say that, but, I mean, seriously, why should I fucking care about seeing this match again? The babyface won clean.
Yeah.
So what's Shayna going to come out and choke her out again and you just start all over again?
That's what they will do probably. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we start all over again, but I already saw Becky win. Like this is old school basic psychology that is done backwards in WWE because it's what they do. And because it's what they do, there are people that think that that's the way that you should do it.
Yes.
Even though it actually doesn't make any sense to have the babyface win the first match of a feud.
Yeah.
I didn't like the finish.
No, I
Shayna should have won.
I did not either. Daniel Bryan versus Sami Zayn. I left to start dinner. When I came back, Bryan was going headfirst into the dasher boards in a tope. Very scary to see for a guy whose career did end for a while due to head injury. Don't do that anymore, Daniel. So what I saw was Daniel Bryan beating the hell out of Sami Zayn for a good 4 or 5 minutes. It was a very good beating, no doubt about that. And then Cesaro and Shinsuke attacked Drew Gulak. Bryan hit a tope on both of them. As he was getting back in the ring, Sammy hit him with one kick and pinned him. All I could think was, I've seen worse, but if you told me a decade ago that Bryan Danielson and El Generico would get a chance at a match at WrestleMania, it would be this. I thought it was a complete waste.
I thought that they worked very hard. I thought there was too much stalling. I thought that it was your typical WWE booking where the babyface gets distracted for no good reason, and then he walks into a finish and loses a match that he was winning. I thought it made Bryan look weak. I thought that, of all the shows, hey, we're going to put over all the babyfaces, except Daniel Bryan. We're going to make him look dumb.
Of course.
Like, the work was good. If you want to talk about the work in the match, yes, the work in the match was good. But when I look at these matches, I look more deeply into them. And I look and I say to myself, nobody in this company is over to the mainstream. Nobody. There are 0 draws in WWE. What draws is the letters WWE to a certain portion of the fan base and the name WrestleMania. Why does nobody draw? Well, this is one of those reasons. You had a babyface who beat the shit out of this heel for 10 straight minutes. He's killing this guy. The storyline is the heel doesn't even deserve to be the champion. And then the babyface does something stupid. He walks into a move and he gets pinned. Okay? This does not make a strong character. This does not make a strong draw. This doesn't make a drawing card. It makes a stupid babyface. Stupid babyfaces don't draw. So I don't like seeing finishes like this. That was my problem with this match.
El Generico's gimmick unofficially was that he had the best match on every show. Bryan Danielson's gimmick officially is that he was the best in the world. And we got this match.
Well, it's because they've decided that Sami Zayn is a manager. Yeah. And so this was your classic wrestler versus manager match where the manager, where Paul Jones sneaks out a win at the end.
Yeah, I need to clarify this. I don't blame Bryan Danielson or Sami Zayn for that.
They did the best they could with what they had.
They did the best they could to do the job they were assigned. Kofi Kingston versus Jimmy Uso versus John Morrison in a singles 3-way ladder match for the tag team titles.
So they mentioned on Observer Live today. Apparently they mentioned on the pre-show that The Miz was out of this match due to injury.
All right.
And somebody on the board was like, Brian and Dave should not talk about anything unless they see all of the associated programming or whatever. I'm like, dude, fuck off. This is WrestleMania. If there's something that takes a champion out of WrestleMania, I do not want to watch the fucking bump. I do not want to have to go on Twitter. If a champion is off WrestleMania, then they fucking better tell me on WrestleMania why this guy's out of the goddamn match. Not on another show, not even on the fucking pre-show. You tell me on WrestleMania why he's out of the show, okay? Now, the reason that they gave, I can't even believe I'm saying this, by the way. The reason they gave for this being a 3-way, after they'd announced the fucking night before on SmackDown that it was a 3-way tag team ladder match, okay? The explanation was that Miz got hurt in a brawl on Friday, and so they made it the singles wrestlers in a 3-way for the tag belts, okay? That's what they said. Now, I realize that 24 hours is a long time, especially when you're 74 years old and you took a lot of chair shots and did a lot of crazy shit in your life, okay? But I'm 44, and I always put my hand up, and I don't have a fucking terrible memory. And what I saw on fucking SmackDown was there was a giant brawl with all the tag teams, and 2 guys were left standing, and one of them was the fucking Miz. The Miz didn't even get laid out in the brawl. So they couldn't say like, well, Big E suffered a terrible injury, and thus, no, they had to say the Miz, who actually didn't get injured on Friday. My mind was blown.
Excellent.
So anyway, that was their explanation. The one guy that didn't get hurt, got hurt, and so now it's a 3-way with singles guys. But the match itself, they worked very hard.
They worked their asses off. They fell on ladders a lot in this empty room. My favorite part, actually, I don't think I've ever seen anyone do this in a ladder match before. This is my favorite part. I forget if it was Kofi or Uso or Jimmy. One of them goes to tip a ladder over onto Morrison, and they overshoot their target. So the ladder falls like around him. Like the house falling around Buster Keaton, right? He's covering up, and he's in the window, and he looks up and realizes he is safe, and he pokes the guy in the eye. That was awesome. We had Morrison doing, I forget what he calls it in Starship Pain. That's what he calls it in WWE. The flipping moonsault thing. He did it off the post onto a guy on the ladder, which inspired John Bradshaw Layfield to compare him to Kurt Hennig. JBL had a lot of moments in the show. These shows, actually. We had a bunch of wackiness. We had Morrison doing a full ring tightrope walk, like from one corner to the other, all the way across the tightrope to do a Spanish fly, and then Jimmy doing a splash into both of them. And these guys are just killing themselves out there. And one thing that happened up and down this show both nights is that they'd be having a perfectly fine wrestling match, and then the finish had to be creative. You can't just have somebody win a match. So all 3 dudes are up on ladders, reaching for the belts. All 3 of them together pull down the harness thing that's got the belts on them. They're all staring at each other. Nobody knows what's happening. Uso and Kofi headbutt Morrison, who does the Nestea plunge backwards onto another ladder, but as he falls, the belts are in his hand. And therefore, even though he let him go as soon as he hit the ladder, they hit the mat, the belts were in his possession first, alone, and so he wins. Now, as a
two
dumb
baby
finish,
faces
yes,
teamed up to knock a heel off the ladder, and he fell off the ladder with the belts.
yes,
So we have another finish where
Yes.
the two baby faces look
yes,
stupid.
yes. So that was dumb. As a spectacle, this was in fact a hell of a spectacle. So hey, a thumbs up for the match as a whole. Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins. So
This actually was a very good match. And
it's going to be most remembered for the middle part, the false finish, because they teased a horrible, horrible finish.
and I bought it.
Because
They do it all the time.
yes, it is in character for this stupid company to do a finish this horrible.
And I know
So-
people will say, but AEW, and I will say, you're right, but AEW. If AEW did a match, and it was a main event caliber match on a pay-per-view, and they did a DQ halfway through for a bell shot, I would immediately expect that they would restart the match. But in this company, because we get one horrible fuck finish after another on every single television show, I did not for 1 second expect them to restart the match. I was pleasantly surprised when they did, but the story here is that I expected them to fuck me. That is not what this is WCW when there would be a main event on TV and all of a sudden everyone would stand up and look to the back. And you know why they did that? Because they expected somebody to run in. Do you know why they expected someone to run in? Because someone always fucking ran in. So, just do better finishes. That's all I ask.
So what happened was they're doing this match. It was pretty good. And then as Owens is making his comeback and they're outside the ring, Seth, out of nowhere for no reason, grabs the bell and smacks him with it for the DQ. I'm furious. As far as I can tell, everyone else was furious. But then Owens grabs a microphone, basically calls Rollins a coward, challenges him to do a no DQ match instead, and Rollins accepts. So either it's a second match, the match is restarted, either way. Seth beats him up with weapons for a while. Owens catches him with one bell shot, lays him out on the announce desk, goes way, 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 way up the WrestleMania sign over on the side of the Performance Center, does a giant elbow through the table, and as our good friend Lance Storm pointed out on Twitter, this took as much guts from Rollins as it did from Owens. Because Owens had to do the actual jump, but Rollins had to look way up in the sky and see this very large man fly at him and not move. And that took a lot of balls. So elbow smash to the table, throws him in, hits a stunner and wins. Okay, they went right to the finish after that. That's good. But all I can think was, why not just build this as a no DQ match and do it as a no DQ match? Why did it have to be so complicated?
Well, because they wanted to swerve you, I guess.
We go to Gronk and Mojo.
But you know what? At least the babyface challenged the heel. The heel stupidly accepted.
Sure.
And he failed.
Every action here can be motivated by the good person doing heroic things and the bad person doing evil.
Yes, I liked this match a lot.
As a cowardly cheater and a fool, and the hero took a beating, made a courageous challenge, overcame the odds, and found victory. That's all a solid point.
I would have preferred if they would have put a crash pad under that goddamn table so nobody would have killed themselves.
That also occurred to me.
But things happen.
Yeah, I mean, anyway, yes, that was nuts. We go to Gronk and Mojo, who I had forgotten about this until right now, but they promised night 2 would be better than night 1. Liars! Truth shows up. He's 24/7 champion, but it's giving him all sorts of problems. So he doesn't feel safe anywhere, wants to hang out with them. They, of course, want his belt. They fight each other for it. Mojo ends up pinning him, winning the belt, and fleeing. Then we get a commercial break. Yes, at WrestleMania. Several of these, actually.
Hey, I'm not going to complain. You can put 50 commercial breaks in WrestleMania if the show is 3 hours long. If this were 7 hours long, get rid of these goddamn commercials and just speed the goddamn show up.
To be honest, yes. When you have match shows this long, and you have segments this long, matches this long, having commercial breaks in the middle gives you a chance to catch your breath and get ready for whatever's next. They ran down the card for night 2. I did not write the whole thing down. Only it appeared there were 80 matches on night 2.
No, there were the same numbers on night 1.
Wow. Braun Strowman versus Goldberg. Goldberg hits 4 spears. Braun hits 4 power slams. Braun wins.
Yeah. Which is funny because
that's the whole match.
That's the exact same match that Brock Lesnar and Drew McIntyre did. But one was much better than the other.
One was much better than the other because Brock, and probably Drew too, but definitely Brock, are significantly better than Goldberg, and especially Braun Strowman.
Well, they're significantly better. They're significantly more athletic.
Yes.
And yes, but it was the exact same match. The Universal title and the WWE title, they did the exact same match in both cases.
Yeah. I mean, virtually move for move, just replace the spear with the F5.
Yes.
And the power slam with the Claymore.
Yep.
And now, the best thing on night 1 by 1,000 miles.
It's going to be a weird comparison, but actually, I won't even say this. This was a show like WWF in the Attitude Era, where it's a shitty undercard, and then the main event is so good that when the show's over, you're smiling, and you just think back and go, this was a great WrestleMania. I was so happy. That's what I thought when this match was over. And going into this match, I thought this Mania was fine. It was not a WrestleMania. It's weird with no fans. The matches were all fine. There was no all-time great match or anything close to it. I was just watching the show. I was happy it was almost over. And then this match occurred. And I've just never been filled with such joy. Rarely have I seen a show turn around as dramatically as a show turned around because of one match. And it was this one.
And of all the matches. So, a hearse arrived. They started at the beginning. We're not in the Performance Center anymore. We're at the Boneyard, which is a cemetery with like a barn next to it. A hearse arrives. There's scary music playing. They open the back of the hearse. They pull out the coffin. And AJ sits up out of it. And he's laughing, having a good old time. Ha ha, I'm off the Undertaker's entrance. Undertaker comes zooming in on his bike to what I guess is a new Metallica song. Makes his big entrance. And they get there. And the key is, because we saw Undertaker and Kane fighting the graveyard what feels like a dozen times, and it always sucked. This one, they made no allusions to the idea that we now go live to the Boneyard. This was shot like a movie. And there's 5 different cameras. The frame rate looks like film instead of TV. There's music playing the entire time that changed, by the way, to different key points in the battle. So the first 10 minutes of this is Undertaker beating up AJ and talking smack to him. And if you've not paid attention, Undertaker's a great smack talker. And my favorite part is as they're fighting by the hearse, Taker swings at AJ. AJ ducks. Taker's arm goes through the window like Goldberg on Nitro. And he pulls his arm out and he just says, "Ah, son of a bitch. Look what you did. You got me cut." And he just beats AJ up more. So he's calling him Alan, warns him to never talk about his wife again. Finally, AJ's able to get some offense. He throws dirt in the Undertaker's face because they're in a yard. Gives him a foot to the balls, beats him a little bit, but of course it's the Undertaker. So he fights back. He throws AJ into the grave. He's about to bury him with dirt and win, but then the OC appear. There's a big musical flourish, and the OC lets Taker know they are not alone. And from inside the barn, there's this huge bright light, and then a bunch of doors open, and out come a squad of druids. And at this exact moment, if you were following along on Twitter, Evil Uno of the Dark Order let the world know in 3 words, "That's not us." So Taker looks around. He's surrounded. He's been surrounded many times before in his long, long career. He knows he's in for a fight. And after a few tense moments, he just says, well, if we're going to do this, let's do it. And then the druids, like the lackeys in any good martial arts movie, attack one at a time. And he kills them all one at a time. They're all vanquished. They just disappear. Gallows and Anderson double team him for a while. They get the heat, but he cuts them off. He's about to use a shovel and destroy them when AJ Styles breaks a tombstone over his head. He's down there. AJ's working him over. Claims to have broken a finger throwing a punch at the man. He's talking smack to Taker. You're a shell of yourself. You're nothing. A nobody. And now the music is like sad, mournful. Like it's like one solo fiddle being played as we're watching the twilight of The Undertaker's career. So AJ is able to get him into the grave, sprinkles like a handful of dirt on him, climbs up into the backhoe, starts it up, the engine's revving. AJ is now just a farm boy on a backhoe. You've never seen a man so happy. But then there's a bright light behind him, and the Undertaker appears behind him. A mighty bright light. He starts whipping AJ's ass again. AJ flees. He climbs up on top of the house. He's up there with Gallows and Anderson and Taker, and they're all fighting up there. Taker throws, I think he threw Anderson off the roof somehow. Tombstone's Gallows in the roof. So now it's down to Taker and AJ one-on-one. AJ's begging for mercy, trying to apologize. Taker's here nothing to do with this. Just continues to mock him. Gives him a big choke slam off the roof onto a bunch of hay and whatever down below. And he's dragging him, AJ, to his feet and carrying him now from the hay back over to the gravesite. Still talking smack the entire time. You don't last as long as I did, he says, without learning how to take a beating once in a while. And he gets him to the gravesite, and AJ's pleading, please don't bury me. Please don't bury me. Taker says, hey, man, you got nothing to apologize for. I'm not going to bury you. You fought your ass off. And he pulls him up, and he gives him a big hug. And the Undertaker, of course, is lying. And he turns, he boots AJ in the face, climbs up the tractor, dumps all the dirt on him. We are left with one gloved AJ Styles hand sticking up out of the dirt. Taker gets on his bike. He sets off his pyro. The Metallica kicks in, and Taker drives away.
Beautiful.
Unbelievably great.
It was beautiful. It was the final deletion. It was...
But here's the thing. The final deletion was in on the joke. Because while I actually just watched it this week, oddly enough, and Matt Hardy was a wacky character, but Jeff is kind of sane. But
sure,
most of the final deletion was supposed to be funny. It's funny when Matt sends a drone with a hologram to distract Jeff, and then drives a lawnmower through his wacky front yard creations. Everything in the Boneyard match was played 100% serious. And it shouldn't have worked this way. Thinking about it, it should have come off as hokey and silly, and instead it was somehow just awesome. I don't really know how, but I loved it.
So, first off, we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna talk about the Firefly Funhouse match.
Which was different.
We're just gonna just jumble them all together. Okay, so listen. Okay, this one, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Jeremy Borash. Basically, the NXT crew was in charge of putting this one together. And the Funhouse version was the WWE crew. I don't know who was responsible for the Funhouse version, but it was not the crew that was responsible for this one here, the Undertaker AJ match. Now, the thing I loved about this, there was so many things that I loved, but the biggest difference between this and the Funhouse match was I could watch this and very easily suspend my disbelief. There were two magic tricks, so to speak, in this match. One was when The Undertaker raised his hands in the air and fire appeared on the roof, okay? Mm-hmm. And the other was when The Undertaker disappeared out of the grave and ended up behind AJ, okay? Now, yes, it's a stretch, okay? But I could believe that since The Undertaker knew where this graveyard was, he hired some buddies to set up some pyro, sure. and he said, when I raise my hands, you blow that stuff up, okay? Yeah, It's a little bit of a stretch, but, I mean, it's possible, right?
Sure.
Suspending disbelief is about, is it possible that this happened, okay? That's why people believe in Bigfoot, okay? Is it likely there's a fucking 9-foot ape running around the United States that hasn't been discovered in 2020? No. Is it possible? Well, I mean, the fucking mountain gorilla, which is a giant fucking primate, wasn't discovered until the 1800s. So, I mean, it's possible. It may be improbable, okay, but it's possible. Is it possible that even though The Undertaker is old and can't run, somehow in between the time that AJ gloated and got onto that tractor Taker was able to scramble out and climb onto the tractor behind him? Yes, it's possible. It might be improbable, but it's possible. There was nothing in this match where you couldn't say it's possible, okay? Now, I didn't like the teleportation that I saw on AEW, but Matt Hardy did explain, well, Vanguard 1 transmitted a hologram into the crowd or into the building, and the hologram confused the viewers and Chris Jericho. Well, you know what? I've seen concert footage with fucking holograms. Is it possible that that could happen? Yes. Okay, so I can believe it. Well, now let's talk about this Firefly Funhouse.
Okay, we'll jump ahead.
Well, let me begin here, because I'm on a roll, okay? Because I didn't even write everything down, so you can recap here in a second. But I hear a lot of people really like this. I'm not surprised. If you like this, I'm happy for you. I'm sure that there was a portion of fans who thought it was great because there was nostalgia. We got John Cena dressed up as Thugonomics John Cena. And quite frankly, they played basic Thugonomics, so I gave it an extra half star because of that. You got to see John Cena dressed up as the NWO. You got callbacks to WCW and the SmackDown Fist and the debut of John Cena. Nostalgia is very powerful for people, okay? But at the end of the day, and I do not want to hear one person argue this. If you argue this, you're dead to me, okay? Do not argue that this was not supposed to be a match. It was supposed to be a match. It was billed as a wrestling match. John Cena called it a wrestling match. Everybody, this was sold to me as a wrestling match. I was supposed to believe that John Cena and Bray Wyatt are going to fight. Just like Undertaker and AJ Styles fought in this Boneyard, okay? So in this fucking Funhouse match, like, John Cena suddenly dressed as John Cena from 2003. Okay, so how did that happen? How did John Cena all of a sudden put on his Thugonomics outfit, and against his will, he's in the ring wearing his Thugonomics outfit? Like, do you know what I'm saying here? Like, there is nothing about this you can suspend your disbelief. I had people on Twitter going, I don't understand why you couldn't suspend your disbelief. How could I?
This was a fantasy story.
Could I possibly suspend my disbelief? It's impossible. Here's the thing. If John Cena and Bray Wyatt would have said, you know what? We're going to put together a story for you fans. We're going to sit down together and we're going to put on a show. And then they aired this entire thing. And then at the end of it, they came out and they hugged and they grabbed each other's hands and they did a bow and a curtain call. I would have loved it. I would have loved it if you would have told me these two guys worked together to tell you a wacky story that called back to points in both of their careers, and apparently in parts of their career that never existed, like John Cena on Nitro as part of the NWO. If that was a story that they sat down together and they filmed this and they edited it together and they gave us this crazy story, fine, it's fucking great. But they told me that it's a match, and somehow in this fucking match, all of this completely impossible stuff happened. No, I couldn't take it seriously. No, I could not suspend my disbelief. And at the end, I watched it 2 times, and both times when it was over, I thought, what in the fuck was that? So that is what I thought of the Firefly Funhouse. It was not the Boneyard match. And no, I did not enjoy it as a match. As a piece of performance art, it was fucking profoundly creative. There were all sorts of cool things in it. But tell me that it's a performance and they work together to put it together. Otherwise, it's a load of horse shit. That's my review.
Well, that's WrestleMania Night 1 and a teaser for WrestleMania Night 2, which we will begin with now at the beginning of WrestleMania Night 2. I didn't say this when we started, but it's WWE WrestleMania 36, April 4th and April 5th. Here we are on April 5th for part 2. We open with Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair. So I know everyone always gets new gear for Mania, but Rhea Ripley is this angry rock chick who comes out with like torn black jeans and her punk haircut and a woman screaming at the top of her lungs, "This is my brutality." and she comes out in like pristine blue and white and gold. It was very wacky. That's the, I don't even know if it's a nitpick, it's just a comment, but this match was awesome. They had a hell of a match. Rhea's as big as Charlotte and matching her move for move, but eventually she goes for a big boot, and Charlotte dodges and snaps her leg on the ropes and takes over. Lots of vocalizing here. They must have watched that Kabuki Warriors match. A lot of back and forth. Then Rhea makes her big comeback, but again, she's on the apron. Charlotte just kicks her one time with the knee. Rhea falls off, and she got the heat back again. Every time Charlotte was in trouble, she just went back to the knee. Very simple, easy story. So she knocks her off the apron. She goes up and teases her moonsault to the floor, but Rhea cuts her off, and I thought, well, they've set that up. They'll pay it off in a few minutes. And in fact, they did not. They did not do every predictable WWE match ever. They teased a moonsault. It didn't work, so she didn't try it again. It just never happened. I guess it happened inside the ring if you want to count that. But Rhea got her submission hold. I believe it's still called the Mayor's Wrath, as far as I know. Charlotte escaped that. Charlotte kept going for the figure four, but couldn't get it. Got a Boston Crab at one point, though. And eventually, they're both on the top rope. Rhea gets thrown off, takes the big face first bump. Charlotte does a big moonsault. She eats the feet to the face when she does the moonsault, but still hits a spear anyway. And kind of a classic New Japan style no-selling contest. And eventually, Charlotte finally gets the figure four, and they fight in that for a little bit. And Charlotte cranks it up all the way to the figure eight with the back bridge. Rhea can take no more. Rhea taps out. Charlotte is your new NXT Women's Champion. I thought that was a hell of a wrestling match.
This was the best match on the show. And I'd have to go back. I mean, obviously, the final, almost called the final deletion again. Boneyard match was billion stars. Just didn't get that. But this match was great. These women worked their asses off. I thought they both did a great job. It was for sure the best match on this night.
Yep.
And, my only complaint is that they beat Rhea Ripley. And I know that the obvious reason for this is they want Charlotte Flair on NXT to try to pop a rating. But, I mean, to me, Charlotte Flair can go to NXT without winning the title, right? I mean, she did before. Rhea Ripley could beat her. Charlotte's furious. She's going down to NXT, and she's going to start a quest to beat her. I mean, you don't need Charlotte as champion for her to be on NXT television. Just fucking put her there. It's fake. But they decided that in order to justify her being on NXT TV, she's got to win the title, and so she beat Rhea Ripley. I thought it sucked, but at the same time, I figured that Rhea's probably going to beat Charlotte to win the title back, and that'll be fine. I don't know. She just won the title. They went all the way with Rhea. It was the right thing to do. I don't know why they had to beat her, but they did.
Aleister Black versus Bobby Lashley. So we talked at some point this week, I think it was Wednesday Night Wars, but I mentioned that sports-based wrestling matches work much better than theater-based wrestling matches in an empty arena. And our buddy Tom says something very similar on Twitter when this started. MMA fights in an empty arena are much better than storytelling or whatever. And Bobby Lashley is an MMA fighter. I don't know how much fighting Aleister Black did, but he obviously has trained a lot of kickboxing. They had a fight. And for the most part, I was really enjoying it. It started off hot. Lashley just did this enormous belly-to-belly suplex on the floor. Just threw him a mile up in the air, and he came down flat. And I'm sure it sucked, but at least he came down flat in his back. It did slow down a bit in the middle, but then picked up again, and just as things were going good, Lashley's working him over. I think he was going for a power slam, but whatever. Lana jumps up in the apron and says, No, put him down. I want a spear. And Bobby says, okay. And he puts Aleister down. He goes for a spear. He runs right into Black Mass, and he gets pinned. Now, at least the heel looks dumb.
The heel looked dumb.
And the babyface is smart. That's a plus, but can't we just have two guys fight and one of them wins? Does something wacky have to happen every single time?
Well, yes, Vinny. Something wacky has to happen every single time. And obviously the reason they did the finish is, I mean, they spent all that time getting Lashley and Lana married, and now they don't know what to do with them. And so now we just have to do the long storyline of them breaking up and getting divorced.
Swell.
So
That's just swell.
That was clearly the point of the finish right here. I thought the match was fine. But that was it. It was short.
We had Kayla interviewing Sasha and Bayley. And I wrote Charlie, and I only know it was Kayla because they called her Kayla a few times. Which is funny, because Charlie is in the next segment, and I wouldn't have known that was Charlie if they hadn't used her name. I still can't tell them apart. So Sasha and Bayley are friends, but they're also competing against each other in a 5-way elimination match tonight. And Bayley says everyone is trying to drive a wedge between the two of them. We are united. We are best friends. Nothing will stand between us. And she leaves, but Kaylee brings Sasha back and says, you have never been SmackDown Women's Champion. How bad do you want it? And Sasha says, we'll just have to watch and see. We have the recap of Mojo pinning Truth last night, and then Charlie interviews Gronk, who says, yes, I did win 3 world championships, but that's in the past. I laughed. He wants the 24/7 title now. So, we've been watching these shows. It's a weird environment. Everyone's doing the best they can, but if you can't watch these 2 shows back to back and not realize how bad Michael Cole sucks at his job, I'm watching Tom Phillips. I think he was working with Byron Saxton. They were fine. There's not one point on the show where I got angry, on either of these shows, where I got angry with either of them. And then we go to Michael Cole, who says, I'd like to revisit what had become a true life Beauty and the Beast, Mandy and Otis.
Yeah.
So we get the Otis, Dolph Ziggler, Mandy, Sonya video package.
Oh, I still don't know what the fuck's going on.
Whoever...
the video package was awesome.
The video package is awesome.
I'm still baffled by what's going on. And I know tomorrow Tom's going to explain all this, but we got Dr. Claw.
Okay.
A
so
fucking hidden camera.
There's somebody filming people surreptitiously backstage.
Yes.
It's GTV in 2020.
Well, we just learned that. I mean, that hasn't been a storyline until Friday.
Okay. Well, that's what I was going to ask, because I saw some of this stuff on Twitter, and I was under the assumption that, like, Sonya had filmed herself or something. But no, there's a mystery.
There's a guy.
There's a spy out there.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's ridiculous.
There's tons of...
But I can believe it's possible.
It's entirely possible. It is ridiculous, but it's possible. Stranger things have happened. There's a ton of Hans Zimmer knockoff music, and it makes the whole thing very clear. Otis loves Sonya. Sonya thinks Otis is kind of cute, wants to give him a chance. Mandy and Sonya don't... Oh, excuse me, Mandy and Dolph don't want this to happen. No, Sonya and Dolph don't want this to happen. God damn it. Regardless, there's a whole big conspiracy thing going on, and it leads to Otis versus Dolph Ziggler. And by the way, is he just Otis now?
Yes, he's just Otis. Yeah, they've gotten rid of his.
So, I'm watching this, and taking this sure is a Dolph Ziggler match. I have seen Dolph Ziggler wrestling for a long time. So I looked up how long I have been watching Dolph Ziggler matches. He debuted as Dolph Ziggler in 2008.
Yeah.
That's not even including the Spirit
12
Squad.
12 years.
That's not the Spirit Squad and the Kerwin White's caddy stuff. That's just as Dolph Ziggler. And then I looked up all the different gimmicks Chris Jericho has had since 2008. He's been the angry guy in the suit. He's been a tag team with the Big Show. He's been the smiling guy with a light-up jacket. He's been the weirdo with a scarf in the list. He's been the Painmaker, Le Champion. And that's not even including the time he's taking breaks to go be a real-life rock star. You know what Dolph Ziggler has done at the same time in the ensuing 12 years? The same shit. It's the same shit. For a decade plus. It's not bad. It's just the same. So they're doing this match. Otis makes a comeback. Sonya takes the ref. Dolph kicks Otis in the dick. Mandy's music plays. She could not come out with Otis, of course. She had to wait for the big dramatic reveal. She comes out. She decks Sonya. She hits Dolph in the dick. Otis wins the Caterpillar. Otis smooches Mandy and carries her away. This was a SmackDown match with no fans.
Well, the big problem is that a lot of these matches, I mean, it sucks that there were no fans for the Lashley match. It sucks that there were no fans for the Rhea Ripley-Charlotte match. But this match, I mean, dude. I mean, there's nothing they can do about it, but this was the last match that you should have done with no fans. Because this whole thing was built up to Otis finally getting that big win over Dolph Ziggler, finally getting the girl, and finally giving her the big kiss. And he does it in an empty building with no fans. It was like, if ever there was a match that you just can't do without fans, like this was it. But they did it. And it was such a thing that happened, as opposed to a big-time WrestleMania moment, Randy Savage and Liz getting back together, whatever, although that was way bigger than this. It just was sad to me. But hey, Otis won. He got the girl for now. I'm sure she'll screw him in about 3 weeks, but hey, that's where we're at.
So, if Dolph Ziggler's WWE career has lasted 12 years, this Randy Orton-Edge match must have lasted at least a dozen, at least twice as long. I killed my own joke there. I live tweet some of these shows, especially when I get angry. And I live tweet during these shows because it gives me an outlet to vent my frustration. Otherwise, there's no way I could get through some of these things. So my first tweet complaining about how long and boring this match was, I have a timestamp right here, 5:41 p.m. By 5:41 p.m., this match had gone forever, and I was terribly bored. My tweet noting the end of the match, 6:04 p.m. 25 minutes, about 25 minutes later. This fucking thing went forever.
This match, I mean, I'll be fair. Edge worked very hard. Randy Orton worked very hard. But this was one of the most boring matches I've ever seen at a WrestleMania. It went 36 minutes and 35 seconds. This was the second longest match in the history of WrestleMania, behind only Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels in a fucking 1 hour Iron Man match. 36 minutes and 35 seconds. And the whole key is, and I know the diehards will argue, but there is no arguing this. There were no twists and turns.
No.
It was just, I am going to beat on you. The referee is going to count to 9, and we are going to just beat on each other throughout the Performance Center for 36 minutes and 35 seconds. And, of course, we had the obvious finish. Edge gives him the concerto, and he wins. But, I mean, dude, you could have done this in 6 minutes and 35 seconds, maybe 10 minutes, and it would have been maybe the best match on the show. But each match, each moment longer that it went, it got more and more and more and more boring. And finally, by the end, I was like just zoned out. Like, I don't even know what happened in this match. I know they hit each other with shit for 36 minutes, and they fell off some stuff, and they jumped off some stuff, and they hit each other with stuff. And, like, that's like your review of the match, but stretch that out for 36 minutes and 35 seconds. Imagine that review I just did. They brawled throughout the building. They hit each other with stuff. They fell off stuff. They jumped off stuff, okay? Somebody cut that 4 seconds out, put in a 36-minute loop, and I'm pretty sure that'll be exactly as exciting as this match.
I contemplated, as I was preparing to do the show, maybe at this point in the show, I should simply get up and leave, have the camera shoot my wall for 30 minutes. It would be no worse than this match. I tried to think of people who have had better matches at WrestleMania. For example, Lawrence Taylor, Floyd Mayweather, all the McMahons, Snooki. So I watched this whole goddamn thing. I took a lot of notes about it simply because I had to keep myself awake to type. And in the end, I went back and I rewrote them. I summarized it. Here is my official review of this match. Randy Orton versus Edge, last man standing. Nothing happens for 40 minutes and Edge wins with the concerto. That's it. That's all you need to know.
Well, I mean, something happened, but other than that, accurate.
Yeah, Edge won with the concerto. That was what happened. Now, that was the only thing that happened. I spittle all over my screen now. So, oh God, part of it, I just watched Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa have a brawl in this exact same building, in this exact same room. That was 1,000 times better. 1,000 times better than this.
Well, because they only brawled for 6 minutes.
10 minutes, yes.
And they went significantly faster. These guys had to stretch it out for 36 minutes.
That all happened. So, I fucking hated this. This is... I don't have enough bad things to say about this match. I regret watching it. It was the worst part of my day. Thumbs down.
I mean,
anything to add?
I would say that I would watch every single match on both nights again before I would watch that one.
Oh, amen. Amen.
That includes the Funhouse match for the third time.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Without a doubt. Because say what you will about the Funhouse match, say what you will about the Funhouse match. It wasn't boring.
It was not boring.
No.
It was absolutely, positively not boring.
No. Mojo and a bunch of geeks are fighting. Gronk hits a dive, wins the title, and flees. That was the last we saw of Rob Gronkowski at WrestleMania. The Street Profits versus Angel Garza and Austin Theory. Now, I don't know the exact logistics of all this, but I'm sitting back thinking, so we need a, shit hit the fan. We need a tag team challenger. Let's raid the NXT roster. No one from Undisputed Era. Not Matt Riddle. Not Tommaso Ciampa. Not Johnny Gargano. Not Keith Lee. Not Swerve. Austin Theory?
Yeah.
Okay. Had a match. It was a Raw tag match. It was a 2-star match. Montez Ford sure likes to scream WrestleMania really loud. I will say this, at least they did, in fact, they brought the smoke in this match.
These two guys were good for an easy 40,000 fans in a building.
Yes.
They were so loud and so excited.
That is a plus.
Screaming and having fun. I felt like I was alive watching a match finally.
Especially after the last one.
You even did you mention Gronk winning the title?
I gave it all the attention it deserved.
Okay.
Ford again screams WrestleMania does a big dive. At least he got caught this time. And the finish came so out of nowhere. I missed it. Thank God they had a replay. But Austin Theory hit a TKO on Dawkins. Montez Ford does a frog splash onto Austin Theory as he's making a cover. Dawkins rolls over, gets the pin. It was fine.
You said this was a Raw match. I would say that would be being generous. It was not 2 stars. It was a Raw match.
So afterwards, the heels attack the champions. This is all done to set up Bianca Belair running out to attack Zelina Vega so they could do an obvious 6-person program if they want to. And it took them until like the very, very end to point out, oh, by the way, Bianca is Montez Ford's wife.
I was unofficially told that this is Bianca's call up to the main roster. So
great.
I believe that she
fantastic.
will be on Raw. Yes.
She deserves to be there. She's wonderful. The women's 5-way, Sasha Banks versus Lacey Evans versus Naomi versus Tamina versus Bayley.
Every WWE elimination match you ever saw. There were people mad at me on Twitter going, I see you got spoilers. Oh, thanks for giving away spoilers. I'm like, I got no fucking spoilers. It's patently obvious the way they do their matches. Who's getting eliminated next every single fucking time?
No one picked up that you only did spoilers with finger quotes for this one match.
Yeah.
My favorite part of this match is that at one point, 3 of the women stop and look at each other. And then Michael Cole tells us, look, it's a reunion of Team Bad.
I had absolutely no idea what he was talking about.
Team Bad.
I have no idea.
Deliberately, I did not write down which 3 women it was. So I'm going to try to remember who was on Team Bad at the top of my head. I do remember Naomi. Pretty sure. I think Tamina was one. And apparently the third was Sasha?
I guess.
This was a faction?
Apparently.
Huh. I believe Sasha, Tamina, Naomi, and Michael Cole are the only 4 people in the universe who remember Team Bad. So, as you noted, this was a WWE...
I vaguely remember the name, but I don't remember anything about it.
Every WWE elimination match ever. One person runs wild for a bit, everyone else gangs up on them and pins them. Repeat 4 times. So, Tamina runs wild, everyone gangs up on her and pins her. Naomi runs wild, Sasha taps her out with a bank statement. We're down to 3 of them. It's the 2 heels versus Lacey. They double team Lacey for a while, but they try a knee in the corner. Bayley accidentally knees Sasha. This turns into an argument between the 2. As they are arguing, Lacey appears out of nowhere, decks Sasha with the women's right, and pins her. And on replay, they showed Bayley might have had a chance to break up that pin, but instead let her partner take the bullet. So we're now down to Bayley versus Lacey one-on-one. And it's fine. Lacey's improved a lot since her NXT days, so more power to her. I was laughing at first because they could have shot like 5 minutes after the last fall where Sasha is still on the floor dead. Has not moved. And then I thought about it for 5 seconds and realized, well, she's interfering for the finish. And she interferes for the finish. There's no DQ in a multi-person match, even when it's still one-on-one now. And Sasha hits a backstabber. Bayley hits some kind of face buster. Gets a pin. I describe this as a slightly better than average SmackDown match.
Yeah, they all worked hard. It was fine. I cannot believe that we're building up to Bayley and Sasha again, which they've been building up for like 3 years, and every time they start, they even get to the angle where they actually start fighting each other, but then they just back off and they go back to being friends again. Like, I've been over this for like 2 years, and they just keep trying and not breaking them up. I could not possibly care. But here we are. We're going to try it again.
So as Bayley is celebrating and showing lots of replays, JBL says, talking about how great it is to see a champion standing tall, and he says, forget those stupid participation trophies. And I swear to God, 5 seconds later, he says, that's what every kid in America should be, a champion.
Yes.
Well, it is now time to discuss John Cena versus Bray Wyatt in a Firefly Funhouse match. I believe, Brian, you've said at least most of what you have to say.
Dude, so, I've said virtually everything because I didn't write down one word about it. I just watched it twice. Just flabbergasted.
If the Boneyard Match never made any illusions about being I can say this. The Boneyard Match made no illusions about being a live sporting event, but it was an action and western movie. The Firefly Funhouse match was a fantasy, science fiction, a ghost story, I'm not sure. But it involved teleportation, time travel, definite dimension hopping, mind control was a big part of it. And the best way I can describe this to anyone who used to or still does watch Twin Peaks, the end of Twin Peaks season 2, if I may spoil something that is now almost 30 years old, Agent Cooper is trapped in another dimension and trying to find his way out of it and get home. And that's basically what John Cena was here. John Cena was Dale Cooper, fighting through dimensions he could not understand or control, trying to make sense of it all and get back to our world.
And people actually ask me how I could like the Boneyard match, but not this match. Like they're in any fucking way similar.
So Cena comes out on stage, and for like 3 seconds, it looks like everything else we've seen tonight. He looks around, he's doing the John Cena entrance with no fans, and he looks into the camera and says, welcome to WrestleMania. And as soon as he gets to the Mania, things change. And now we are looking at montages of Vince saying Mania and all of Bray's wacky puppets and other people saying Mania, blah, 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 blah. Then we cut to the Firefly Funhouse itself. Now, at one point, I thought this was like an actual building that Seth Rollins went to and burned down, and Bray has since rebuilt.
Yes.
Now, when he rebuilt it, it's on another plane. It's in Narnia, perhaps. It's in Wakanda, for all I know. Bray is talking about gods and monsters and angels and demons. So we was talking about who John Cena really is. His most dangerous opponent is himself. And he walks out the door of the Firefly Funhouse, and suddenly John Cena teleports in. He looks around. He's very confused about being on the set of this children's show. A bunny shows up behind a TV set, tells Cena to walk out that door. That's where Bray went. So Cena walks out the door, which is very much like Dale Cooper leaving the Black Lodge and ending up on another planet somewhere and seeing Major Briggs' head float by, say, Blue Rose. Cena's in the dark. There's a Vince McMahon puppet there. Cena seems wildly confused and more than a little agitated by this puppet. The puppet cuts a Vince McMahon promo, and all I could think was, if you hate this thing so much, hit the fucking puppet, or take the puppet away. So, Bray's in the ring now. He is imitating Kurt Angle in 2002, calling out any open challenger. John Cena, it's the John Cena of 2020 with the longer hair, but he's got his 2002 gear on, walking by the SmackDown fist, and he gets into the ring. Now, there's a lot of things we can say about this. Let's acknowledge something. John Cena is a physical miracle. It's almost 2 decades later, he still looks A+ shape. It's frankly, I mean, the most unbelievable part of all this is what amazing physique John Cena still has. So Bray, this he says is Cena's biggest failure, which is funny because it springboarded his entire career. He's taunting Cena. He sings Nikki Bella's theme song. They do a big gimmick where all John Cena can do is shout ruthless aggression and swing one wild overhand shot, and Bray ducks it with ease and taunts him every time, because Cena is not in full control of his faculties in Bray Wyatt's world. We then cut to Saturday night's main event, including, now, up to this exact second, I absolutely, positively hated this. And then Animotion kicked in. They actually paid for Obsession by Animotion. That did change my mood quite a bit. So Bray is cutting a promo about how all you need to get over are large muscles and no talent. He introduces his tag team partner, Johnny Largemeat, which is a brilliant name. Cena comes in, and he should have been Ultimate Warriored out. This is a swing and a miss. He's wearing like his normal Cena gear, just doing 1,000 curls, which is supposed to make him look dumb that he can do curls forever. He does a very 80s John Cena promo, and again, we're supposed to think it's silly and laugh at him. I'm looking at John Cena thinking, this man is amazing. Finally, Bray asks, what you gonna do when you realize egomania has been running wild on you? There's a snap. Now suddenly Cena is in his Doctor of Thugonomics gear. He can only rap. He can only speak and rhyme. And again, this is something that's supposed to make him look silly, but instead it makes him look cooler than usual. He takes some insults at Bray Wyatt, and Bray Wyatt is gotten to. He's hurt the Fiend's feelings. You're not a hero, he says. You're a bully, a horrible person. You take the weaknesses of others, and you turn them into jokes. Poor lonely John Cena, this is your last chance. The floor is yours. So I guess, and I'm still processing this, and I'm kind of working this out in my own head as we talk. Apparently, Bray Wyatt was hoping John Cena would admit Bray is right and confess to his sins here. Instead, John Cena makes a joke about D's nuts, charges into the corner, and gets punched out instead. I'm already tired. Bray Wyatt is back in his rocker. Suddenly it's, I don't even know what year it was. 2013 again, WrestleMania in New Orleans. The Wyatt family is new. He's got the smock and the hat and the rocker, talking about Sister Abigail. She spoke of this day his entire life. John Cena is supposed to be man of the people, but he wasn't listening. And they cut back to Mania in New Orleans. It's Cena and Bray in the ring. The crowd's singing along with Bray's song. He's got the whole world in his hands. They wanted me. They needed me. It was my grandest failure. It's time to rewrite my story. Run. And as he says this, we teleport back to the ring where Bray Wyatt is now charging and attacking John Cena. So I guess this is the point where the match actually begins. 6 years ago, he said, you made the wrong choice, cowboy. Fix it. And he hands Cena a chair and offers himself up as sacrifice. And they go back to Mania in New Orleans when John Cena had a chair and Wyatt wanted Cena to hit him because Wyatt wanted Cena to turn heel and Cena refused. This time, John swings this chair, but Bray vanishes. Suddenly, it's Nitro. Bray Wyatt is being Eric Bischoff.
I'm so fucking lost. What the fuck's going on?
I don't know. Bray Wyatt is Bischoff. John Cena, he's John Cena, but just with NWO gear. And he gets in the ring, and suddenly now he is in control, because now he can start fighting. He starts beating up Bray as they edited in clips of 15 years worth of Cena sucks chants. And suddenly, Cena's in the ring in his own normal gear, beating up a pig. And the Fiend is behind him. Sure. The Fiend chokes Cena out, replays Cena's promo about being overhyped and overrated and being time to move on. He puts him in a mandible claw on the mat. Bray Wyatt appears and counts 3. Cena disappears. Fade to black.
Yeah. Well, in the time that it took for you to recap that match, I put up a poll on Twitter. Firefly Funhouse match. Loved it, hated it. We've already got 1,500 votes. And right now, 79% loved it, 20% hated it.
I was going to say something about how there was no middle ground. I realized it's impossible to have middle ground. You cannot have neutral feelings about this.
Well, there were a lot of people here that said, I can't figure out whether I loved it or hated it. There were several of those in the comments here.
Can't figure out is different. And frankly, I will put myself in the can't figure out, but I'm going to reflect on this over the next couple of days And I think I'm going to either love it or hate it. There are parts of it that were really creative and self-referential and emotions that were believable. And some of the resentment that was believable. And there was some of it that was just incredibly stupid. And
as a video package the two men worked very hard on, it was great.
Yeah.
As a wrestling match, it was fucking dumb. That's my review.
yeah. So that was that. We go to our main event, which was in fact very, very, very similar to the other world title match.
It was the exact same match, just better.
It was not the exact same match. It was 90% the same match. Drew hits a Claymore out of the gate, goes for another one. Paul Heyman warns Brock to get out of the way. Brock dodges, hits a bunch of suplexes, hits a bunch of F5s. Drew keeps kicking out. Heyman cheers Brock on. He's really good. Hit him again. Keep on doing it all night long. Brock is mad at first about Drew kicking out. Then he starts to giggle. All right, you want to do this? He picks him up. Drew escapes, hits 3 Claymores, and wins. I've seen a lot of great Brock Lesnar sprints. I don't think this was a great Brock Lesnar sprint, but it was a good Brock Lesnar sprint.
Yeah, that was a fine match. I mean, it was very formulaic. I mean, we've been seeing the exact same Brock Lesnar matches for like 1,000 years. I mean, I didn't dislike it, but when Brock hit the F5 and Drew McIntyre kicked out and the announcers like freaked out, I'm like, fuck, has every fucking Brock... Has there ever been a match where he hit one F5? I mean, there have been, but it's rare. I mean, if it's a big name in a big match, they almost always will kick out of at least 1, 2, 3 F5s. Fucking Roman kicked out of like 8 or something like that. So, yeah, he kicked out of the F5. It happens in every match. They're acting like it's never happened before. But they are both good athletes. It was a fun little sprint for what it was. It wasn't the best Lesnar match I ever saw. It wasn't the best match on the show. But it was fine for what it was.
And I will say this. 3.5 hours into the show, I did not need this match to go any longer.
No, I thought that I'm going to find out the exact time. I mean, it was under 5 minutes probably.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It was
3.5 is my guess.
It was 4 minutes and 35 seconds.
Much longer than I would have thought.
So there you go. And that's it, everybody. We are totally out of time, so we're going to wrap it up for today. I'll be back later on tonight with Dave after I relax, get my voice back, etc. And hey, want to mention very quickly, we are on Twitch now for Observer Live. Channel is twitch.tv/F4W video. Every day at noon Pacific, 3 Eastern. It'll be up there live and free. And if you want it to continue, all we ask is that you hit that follow button. Don't just go up there and watch it, but actually follow the channel. And then we could do a lot of different things. So, once again, every Observer Live is going to be up there at noon Pacific, 3 Eastern. Did it today, and like 30 minutes warning. We had 750 people at one point watching the show. So we're going to build those numbers up, and you can join us tomorrow and every day. Once again, that is twitch.tv/F4W video. So join us there, and that's it for today. We'll talk to you again after a while.
Adios.